All right, pproteus back for another Pauper challenge. It is the 12th of November, and I got a little bit of a treat for you today. This is going to be the last Pauper challenge before the rotation, or whatever you call it, in which a bunch of possibly good cards become legal, like Seeker of the Way and that green Monarch card. And I've been working on this deck, but I was worried the meta would shift a little bit before next week, so I wanted to play the deck just in case I didn't get another chance to play it competitively, even if I am not 100% where I want to be. So, in case you're wondering here, you haven't seen it, this card is what I built this deck around. Discard a card, give it +0/+4 until end of turn. So the combo is I cast Inside Out, targeting it, and then discard 5 cards, and it has 21 power. And I also have Shadow Rift to make it unblockable. And the way this deck works is that it's a tempo deck. I have 1 plains in my deck, and everything else is islands and 1 mana blue spells. Well, I guess this is a 2 mana blue spell. Everything else is islands and 1 mana blue spells. And so on my combo turn, I'm ready to cast 5 spells in a turn, and usually my opponent just can't cast 5 interactive spells in a turn. Or not 5, but they can't cast enough spells in a turn with their open mana that they can do something reasonable. So my opponent probably is on Stompy with the Burning Tree Emissary draw, probably multiple Burning Tree Emissaries. It's not ideal for me, but I think that the Stompy matchup in general is a good one. And as long as I find my combo pieces in a reasonable amount of time, I should be doing pretty well, although this is, one of those nut draws. 3 Burning Tree Emissaries is pretty good. Another thing this deck is that it doesn't mulligan well. Like, I literally have to discard 5 cards on my combo turn in order to win, and that means that mulligans really suck. But on the other hand, even 5 card or 7 card hands that don't do much usually don't suck, because they get to just draw so many cards and then brainstorm and augur and ponder and preordain and gush that it's usually not a huge issue. So I had to go fetch plains because I have to use my mana, but I don't want to play the plains because the Tyros tribes are my only white spells in my deck. So I don't want to have plains and then want to cast 3 blue spells in a turn, because that would be pretty bad. Even though that's not likely, it's probably just better practice to not play the plains until I need to. I'm going to play the plains next turn in Tribe and then have Circular Logic open, so that's basically 1 blue mana for counter spell. Although I have to watch and make sure I have enough cards in my graveyard to do that. But even if I don't, I can discard an extra card to the Tyros Tribe to put that into my graveyard. So here's the second combo piece. I've got the Inside Out. Opponent is going to Hunger, I guess. Sure. So I'm going to take 5, so I'm not in danger. And all I'm hoping for is that I'm going to draw Shadow Rift, because if I draw Shadow Rift, I basically win the game. Ball Scourge is not a card I actually like to play against. This deck struggles against life gain, and so, This deck struggles against life gain because for every 4 life you gain, I have to discard another card to kill you. But my opponent's not actually threatening to do that right now. They could have vines, but that's not even that bad. So I'm thinking about, I have to play the Tyros Tribe because I don't think I can survive 2 attacks, or at least not without struggle. But 1 attack is going to it's going to deal 9 damage, so my opponent's just not going to be able to kill me. So I'm deciding between, should I play the Augur or should I hold up Circular Logic? And I think I really need to play the Augur because I need to find Shadow Rift in order to win the game. And this is my only way of drawing cards right now. And so I don't want to have to use a 2 mana spell on my combo turn. So, feeling pretty good about this. My opponent doesn't know what's in my hand. And one of the best things about playing Tribe is that your opponent doesn't know whether or not you have lethal. And so, even if they have the answers, they often have to spend their whole turn doing nothing because they can't walk into your answers. And for example, they may play around me only being able to discard a certain number of cards, and then I just gush and I have 3 more cards in my hand than my opponent expected me to have. So I'm going to make one block. I could block and then toss a card to gain 3 life, but that doesn't seem super necessary. I can do that next turn if I need to. I'm not happy about my opponent getting life, but in this case it didn't matter. So now if I draw a Shadow Rift, I just win. And also because my opponent didn't play, they don't leave up a card in their hand, so I don't have to be worried about vines or gut shot or any kind of interaction. So I'm going to go digging for the Shadow Rift, and if I hit, I just inside out and I win the game. So none of these cards are Shadow Rift. Oh boy, I actually don't know if you can see the cards that I'm hitting. So I ponder, I see Augur, Jutation Probe, Preordain. So these are all good cards, but the problem is, am I going to be able to live another turn? I definitely can afford to let my opponent gain 3 life, which means I have to discard 6 cards instead of 5 cards. Because I have the Gush, I'm going to have the 6 cards in my hand. So I have to decide whether or not I'm likely to die right now. So I could keep this here. I could take the Augur, play the Augur, leave up Circular Logic. My opponent attacks, and I block, probably block with the Tribe as well, and I have to discard a card. And then I take 6, and I'm not dead. And then I go for lethal the following turn. So I could do that. And if I discard, I'm going to play a land. And so if I take the Augur here, that'll be 6 cards in hand. And then a discard 2 puts me to 4 or to 5 if I hit the Augur. And then I draw again, putting me up to 6, and then I can Gush. So I'm actually pretty safe here. So I think I can afford that. I don't want to go off until, like, if I try to go off this turn, so I can just shuffle, and then I can Gush. And that way I'm looking at 3 more cards, and if one of them is Shadow Rift, I 100% win the game. But if none of them are Shadow Rift, then I just lose. So I would rather just put the Augur Bolas on the top here and draw it. Because at least this way I'm not going to just lose. So I'm hitting again, and I'm going to take the, so I hit Preordain, Probe. I knew about 2 of those. Probe is not good because my plan is to go down to 1 life. So I'm just going to take Preordain, although I may regret that later. And then I can cast Preordain here, or like look for a Shadow Rift, or I can just hold up Circular Logic to try to not die to anything my opponent draws. And I think I would rather protect myself here, because I do think I'm in good shape. And so I'm going to let my opponent have their 5th turn here, and we'll see whether or not I lose the game here. Maybe a best thing for me is that my opponent starts with, say, a Rancor on the Vault Scourge, and then I can counter it. Yep, okay, that's what's happening, because I already knew I was going to discard a card Tyler's Trap because I have to block with it. And so this way I get this, so I get to Circular Logic here, so see the power of it. It's 1 mana leak. It gives my creature +0/+4. Alright, 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 I don't think I've screwed up. I think I'm doing pretty well so far. I still have to hit on the Shadow, I still have to hit the Shadow Rift next turn, but other than that, I'm doing well. Also, my opponent actually can't attack me with everything. Or I kill them even if they don't draw Shadow Rift. So, doing even a little bit better than I'd suggested. Man, I love this deck. I'm so excited. So my opponent elects not to attack with Sentinel plus Young Wolf. Okay. So I think there's no way that I survive this. Well, I get to ponder plus preordain. So I'm just going to start with the ponder. I want to dig as deep as I can. I don't want any, so I hit land, gush. Huh. Do I want the gush? No, because if I keep it to the ponder, then I have to not shuffle. So I'm going to shuffle away land, gush. I just want Shadow Rift. I have Detection Probe, which I can now cast. So there's no way for me to survive this game, right? Survive this turn if I don't. Yeah, so I'm going to probe for life. I hit Brainstorm. Okay, so I have to cast Inside Out, so might as well just do it now. And I have to cast Gush. So I'm doing that. Okay, and now this one I have to hit Shadow Rift. So I can Preordain or I can Brainstorm. Both same chance. And there's the Shadow Rift. So Shadow Rift gives my creature Shadow. Oh, I was prepared to be unhappy that I had gone more than halfway through my deck and not found a single Shadow Rift. But I found it, and my opponent scoops it up, seeing that I can now discard 7 cards to the Tireless Tribe. So, as you can see, this deck is quite powerful. I was able to beat this Stompy kind of nut draw of 7 power on turn 2 by killing them on turn 5, although it was pretty close. So here's the deck. I've got obviously 4 of each of the combo pieces, so Tribes, Inside Out, and Shadow Rifts, although in some matchups I cut some or all of these. I have 4 Ponders. I have 4 Detection Probes, 4 Gush, 4 Circular Logic. And then I've got 3 Preordains, 3 Brainstorms to go with my whole bunch of fetch lands. And then I have 1 Giga Drowse and 3 Dispels. Exactly 1 Plains, because I never want to cast multiple white spells in a turn. At least not main deck. So sideboard here, we got some Stormbound Geist for control. Got Piracy Charm for Standard Bearers. Hydroblasts and Circle Protection Red for Burn and Affinity. So I have Lone Missionaries, which are going to come in this matchup. Basically, they did what the Augur did there, where they just buy me a whole bunch of time. Standard Bearer, because Standard Bearer also buys me a bunch of time by stopping Stompy from doing things effectively. And 1 Fade Away as sort of a kind of Mize card. So when I have all these like Brainstorms and Ponders and Preordains, and also when I'm planning to discard 5 cards, I can afford to have cards that are really situational. And sometimes in games like that one, for example, when my opponent plays a whole bunch of creatures, having Fade Away is really powerful. So I'm going to keep that. And I've got to figure out what to cut, and I actually don't know. Not super prepared. I'm going to cut multiple Dispels, because my opponents, they're going to have like 5 interaction spells in total. And then I cut Probes, because knowing my opponent's hand isn't super helpful. And I'll cut the Giga Drowse, although I could see that being wrong, because Giga Drowse can actually buy me another turn. I never cut my cantrips because they're part of my mana base, although Detection Probe has been the mana base was constructed so that Jataxian Probe wasn't part of it, because I want to be taking it out against burn, because it's just not good there. So while I don't like mulligans, I have to hit land drops. So I do mulligan any hand that doesn't have a way to hit 2 lands plus something to do with them. So I have to mulligan that, unfortunately. And another advantage of this deck is that it actually is capable of playing slowly, so I can talk through everything and not really worry about running out of time, hopefully. This hand really sucks. So I've got my Ash Barrens, which now I'm getting punished for killing an Evolving Wilds for an Ash Barrens, because the Ash Barrens can't do anything. But really, if this were an Evolving Wilds, my plan is to go turn 2 Tireless Tribe. I'm also going to mulligan that, and I'm not feeling very hopeful about this game. This hand is extremely much better. Good, I hit my basic plains. I was worried that that was not going to happen. I'm going to probe for mana here because I don't feel like paying life. And my opponent's cards are, I'm going to write them down because I'm pretty sure my recording setup is not seeing this. So Forest, Gutshot, Young Wolf, and Burning Dream Emissary. So Gutshot is powerful because it lets my opponent actually interact with me. My opponent also doesn't really have a great hand. Like, it does stuff, but they're going to risk getting flooded. So they play the Forest. I guess, actually, they're just going to get shot my Standard Bearer. And then I imagine here, they're going to go Burning Dream Emissary into Young Wolf, which is fine. It's like a 3-turn, 4-turn clock, maybe? Nest Invader, 3-turn clock, okay. Alright, I'm going to Standard Bearer here, because I think the Lone Missionary can trade, and so I'm going to force my opponent to get shot the Standard Bearer. That sounds kind of weird, but I think this is correct. So out comes the Gut Shot, because my opponent doesn't have anything in their hand that is being stopped by the Standard Bearer except for the Gut Shot, and so I'm actually fine with them doing that. Whereas the Lone Missionaries can come down, gain me 4 life, and trade for a creature. So that is going to buy me a lot more time. So my opponent's last card in hand is the Young Wolf, so I know everything. So inside out, I can cycle all my opponent's creatures often. Wait, what? They didn't play the Young Wolf? Wow, my opponent must be playing around Fade Away. Although, I don't know if that really counts as playing around Fade Away, because Young Wolf was actually good against Fade Away. Your Lone Missionary is fine. All I want is time, because I need to draw into many cards, and so I'm fine with anything that lets me last this much longer. I see between Gutshot and Burning Dream Emissary that, oh, there's the Young Wolf. I figured it out. I can see between Gutshot and Burning Dream Emissary, maybe Hydroblast can actually come in against this deck, because the Gutshot is something I absolutely have to counter. Okay, there's Dispel. Not really what I wanted. Probably going to lose this game at this point, especially with the Vault Surge, where if the game goes long enough, I'm going to be struggling for enough cards to discard, and I'm already struggling for enough cards to discard. One keeps the card in their hand. I don't know what it is, but it's not necessarily very good, because, well, it's not a creature at least, and it's not a hunger, because they would just play it there. Ah, so I hit Fade Away. So Fade Away says for each creature its controller sacrifice a permanent unless he or she pays 1. Unfortunately, it doesn't do anything here because my opponent has 4 mana. So what they do is, in response to Fade Away, they sacrifice the Eldrazi spawn, and then they pay 4. And they can even choose to sacrifice the young wolf if they want. So I'm going to brainstorm, and I'm going to cast Inside Out just to cycle it. Okay. Awkward. Alright, I'm still going to cast the Inside Out to cycle it. And I have the combo, so I can just go for it on my next turn. Now my opponent's last card could be Vines or Gut Shot. And so if I think I can beat so they played Forest. So the question is, do I think I can beat Vines or Gut Shot if I get another turn here? They don't have Hunger. The problem is, what is their card? It's either, it could be a Forest. So, like, I can go for it here. I can go for the attack. But if they have the Vines, then I lose. And my opponent is just not going to have... Alright, I'm going to wait a turn. I'm not attacking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 because I have to beat Rancor on Vault Scourge. Alright, so my opponent could have gone for lethal there with Vines, but they didn't. So I think that means that they don't have Vines. So start by returning these 2 cards to my hand. Alright, and then now I've got this up for Dispel in case my opponent's trying to interact with me. Shadow Rift, I'm unblockable. Inside Out. And then discard 1. And okay, I got him. I don't know if that was the... So I think I made the right play there. So anyways, what you've learned here, this deck is super interesting. It's very hard to play against, and it's actually really good against Stompy because Stompy doesn't have a great way of interacting with it. Where I have actually more pieces of interaction with their interaction than they have actual interaction with me. They just have to try to kill me, and then I've got Lone Missionary, Standard Bearer, Augur, Bolas, and blocking with a 1/5 to try to slow them down. So I like this deck. I think it's really cool. It's also really hard to play. What you may have noticed that Inside Out is doing really well in the challenges lately, and I'm like really slow. It takes me a long time to learn deck, so I've actually been learning Inside Out for quite a while, and in that while it's become more popular, and I wish I could be a little ahead of the curve because then I get to surprise people a little more. The same thing happened to me with Boros, where it took me a long time to learn it, and then the week that I started playing it was the week that everybody started playing it. And not quite sure if there's anything I can do about that, but I am happy to be trying this out and hoping I will do well. So anyways, what I was saying is that there were, in the last challenge, 2 players who placed really highly. In the challenge before that, there were 2 in the top 8. But in the last challenge in particular, there were 4 other players on Inside Out that were also playing, but they didn't make top 32. And the reason for that, I assume, is that just this deck is hard. It's really challenging to play optimally. It's hard to build optimally, where I almost gave up on it because I thought, oh, the prevailing wisdom is obviously wrong, and I changed it up, and I was losing because I changed it up, and I couldn't figure out why. And I noticed as well that the metagame is also really indicated, or dictated rather, by what prominent people say in the community. And somebody said last week that Inside Out is looking to be a really good Gush deck, and I'm wondering if that will mean that Inside Out has a giant spike in popularity. But even if it does, my hope is that I will be able to play better than the people who are just picking it up this week. So, I'm 1-0. I'm having a good day so far. See you in round 2.